welcome to another edition of the Loose Cannons podcast, brought to you by Red Cap Plumbing and Air. I have used Red Cap Plumbing for at least 12 years now. They represent Tampa. The owners are from Tampa. They've raised their kids in Tampa, and they bring a lot of business as well as they giving back to the community of Tampa. They literally represent hashtag Tampa Proud. So you guys should check them out for sure. I use them. I know Christian uses them. Stank uses them. They're good friends of mine. They treated me like family. They'll treat you like family. Welcome to the Fan Friday edition of this show. And we're doing it this week with a very, very cool guest in Scott Reynolds of pewterreport.com. Welcome
another
to the show,
goat,
Scott.
Another goat on the podcast.
Bro, what you mean cool? A goat?
He's very much the goat.
He's humble.
Means I'm old, guys. That's all it means.
He's humble. I'm not gonna call him the goat. He's a humble guy. He's like me, you know.
Dude.
He's the best.
Listen, when there was tumbleweeds and it was just the Tampa Tribune and there was literally nowhere else to find Bucs information, Scott, he was blessed. He came upon this town and gave us content. Like I used to have to read national papers to get a just a tidbit of Bucs information. And you know, it's a blessing to have him here, man.
Yeah. Holy shit, guys! I'm not Moses or anything, but I appreciate you.
You are when it comes to this town and this team, because before you, it was the newspapers or nothing.
Hey, let's be real, Stank.
I appreciate
How much time did you spend on those message boards? Because I know.
Listen, I went by Shiver. That was my old school name.
Oh my God! Yes, yes.
That was my old school name back in the day.
Yes, and Shiver.
Yeah, I spent lots of time. I went to events. I went to some event at Dogwater Cafe.
Yeah.
I went to an event in Orlando during the Chucky years at like right by the Wide World of Sports. I'm an original Buccaneer magazine Pewter Report person. I told Christian I still have the original edition. I'm a kind of a hoarder. I hold on to that kind of stuff. Right. So I have the original edition too.
I was too young to even register to be on the message board. So
I'm old enough to be the old man that was pissed off when they went digital. How about that?
I'm still mad. I'm still mad they went digital.
What do you mean?
If you only knew how much time that took me to do a magazine. Oh my God. No idea. It took years off my life.
Well, you started a movement, right? So here we are now, and it's funny that we're talking today. It's Thursday afternoon, and the big news just came out today was that the Bucs and the Raiders game is no longer going to be on Sunday night. It's now been moved to 4:00 on Sunday in order to make sure that they have a Sunday night game. What are your
damn you, Jon Gruden?
What are your initial thoughts?
Get a hold of your team. It stinks because I know there's a lot of Buccaneer fans out there that aren't in this market, right? I mean, that's one of the things that I learned about Buccaneer fans from doing the magazine, because it's one thing when you do pewterreport.com, right? Or where you've got an outlet like Loose Cannons podcast or even like on Twitter, right? You don't know where these people are from. I mean, they could be from St. Pete, they could be from Tampa, Wesley Chapel, Lakeland, whoever, wherever they are. But when they subscribed to Buccaneer magazine way back in the day, we would see where they came from. And of course, the vast majority of them were from the Tampa Bay area. Like, let's not fool ourselves here, right? There's 3 teams in Florida, Jacksonville and the Panhandle. They kind of have, that's Jaguars country. Then the South, you've got Miami, but really from Ocala, Gainesville to down to Sarasota. And then of course, going from west to east, it's Clearwater, St. Pete, Tampa, all the way through Lakeland to Orlando. That's kind of Buccaneer territory. But the one thing is there's so many displaced Buccaneer fans. There's fans that are stationed at MacDill, right? That latch onto this team and then they go shipped overseas to Germany, or they're reallocated elsewhere around the country. And there's actually a lot of Buccaneer fans outside of the Tampa Bay fan base. And of course, guess what, guys? There's a lot more Buccaneer fans outside the Tampa Bay area, thanks to Tom Brady. And it just stinks because this was a national game, one of 5 for the Buccaneers that fans were going to see in prime time, and that's just not going to happen now.
100%. I don't think the game, and I think Stank tweeted it, I don't think it's played on Sunday. I think it's going to
I think it's going to be moved, yeah.
I think this was a precautionary move, and they just kind of Sunday at 4 is a placeholder, but I think they're going to move.
I agree. I think it's phase 1. We're going to move it to the afternoon and take care of Sunday night. But you know what? If that's the case, fine. Then play it Monday night or Tuesday night. Put it on national TV again, so you're not robbing the fans in Tampa and across the country that wouldn't see a local market game. Put it out there Monday or Tuesday. Let's get
like you said,
this primetime feel going.
We've got a big West Coast contingent. Obviously, the Buckaholics represent at all those West Coast games. They had a party planned, a watch party planned in Vegas for this game, and obviously they're probably scrambling right now to figure out how to deal with it. I know people were still had plans to travel to Vegas were planning to go to the game. We're still going to go to Vegas and watch it in Vegas, and now they're I'm sure they don't know what the hell to do.
Right.
This would probably be the only time that I would be okay with them moving it to a Tuesday night, or somehow moving the Monday night game up an hour, so they're like the kind of the later Monday night game, kind of like when we watch those college football games on Saturday night at like 11:30 kickoffs or whatever. But the Bucs play their next game after this on a Monday night, so moving it to Tuesday isn't as terrible as if they had a Sunday 1 o'clock game, right? So
what has me pissed off is that do we still get the same crew? Because I love the Sunday Night Football crew. It is the marquee game. Monday Night Football kind of taking a backseat to it, and
well, no,
maybe Scott, you're like Altman. You have all the information. When was the last time the Bucs played on Sunday Night Football? Like I can't remember the last time they played.
I want to say it was the Cowboys game, right? Back in 20.
It was
when they got flexed.
16.
When they got flexed, that's right.
Yeah,
they got flexed
2016. That's when Dak Prescott completed like 84% of the passes, and that was a bad game.
You just had to win.
Wasn't that DeMarcus Lawrence's come out party too?
Yeah.
No, actually, you know who it was? It was what was the guy's name? It was the kid that ended up getting banned. He played at Iowa State. See what happens, guys, when you turn like 48 like me. I can tell you, where the kid played in college, what position he plays, and I can't remember his name. No. But
Adam Humphries had like a ridiculous.
He did, yes.
Catch by Jameis with triple coverage.
Yes.
Like, don't do that.
Yep.
God,
yep, exactly.
That was one of the most frustrating games to watch, because if we win that game, things could be totally different now. We don't know.
Listen, I got plenty of respect for Dak Prescott. He's a good quarterback. He's certainly showed that this year, right? And the numbers he's put up before his injury. But that game was just ridiculous. It's like they could not do anything to stop him. I mean, it's one thing to complete 73% of your passes like Derek Carr has this year, right? The next opponent. It's another thing to complete over 80% of your passes in the game. That's difficult to do. But, given the Mike Smith defense that this team had at the time, I mean,
it was basically par for the course from that game forward, right? And we remember how that kind of fell apart. But if we bring it back now to 2020, the Bucs are facing Jon Gruden for the first time since he was a Bucs head coach. Yeah. So that's kind of I don't know if it's a revenge game for him or for us. I'm not quite sure if there's anything even to be avenged.
It's not a revenge game for him. You know why? Because he's making like $10 million a year for the next 7 years with that contract. The thing is we actually we got some very good intel, and I wrote a couple SR Fat Fives about it. Jon Gruden was very close to coming to Tampa Bay, and he was in discussion with the team about replacing Dirk Cutter, and I actually broke the story. I'll never forget being in. I wanted to talk to John about the Buccaneers, and it was the 20th year, whatever it was, the time time escapes me, but it was the anniversary of the Super Bowl year, right? And this was this was the year before he came back to coach the Raiders, and I was in there with Trevor Sikkema. He invited us to come in and do an interview, right before training camp. This was July, so it must have been 2017, I guess. And I'll tell you exactly when it was. I think it was 2017. And Trevor and I went to the headquarters, John's FFCA, Fired Football Coaches of America headquarters right here in Tampa for an early morning interview. And it was kind of a throwaway question because there was a report, I think at the time on College Football Talk, about whether or not he was interested in the Notre Dame job. And I said, John, just kind of have to ask you this, but, is it flattering that you get linked to all these jobs, pro and college, after all these years since you've been retired? It really was a throwaway question. And he, it's just one of those things. I'm going to cast the reel one more time and see if anything's biting, because nothing's biting, right? And I hooked a big one on that. And John actually said, yeah, I've been thinking about it, and I want to come back and coach. And he said, it's not going to be in college, though. He's like, I can't handle the whole, NCAA regulations about you can only spend 20 hours a week with the kids and stuff. He's a grinder. Gruden. He wants to spend as much time with the quarterback and the team as he can. So he's like, it's not going to be at the college level. But, yeah, I'm thinking about it, man. I want to come back and coach. And I walked out of there. And the funny thing is I'm sitting here thinking about this, having like a holy shit moment in my head, knowing I've got some nationwide scoop, right? And John, we kind of wrap up talking about the Super Bowl team and what he remembered and all that stuff. And then he takes us on a tour of the FFCA headquarters, which is his little office. And he goes, and actually he gave Trevor Sickam and myself some Spider Y2 Banana t-shirts that had FFCA on it. And he's like, you guys like beer? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And he's like, I got these coaches come in, we have college coaches and pro coaches come in all the time to watch film with me. And it's like, every time, I invite these guys or they come in, they always bring me beer. And so he had this little kitchen that had a full-size fridge full of beer. He's like, I can't drink all this shit. He's like, you guys want some beer? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So we walk out of this interview with Jon Gruden with these Spider Y2 Banana t-shirts, right, and beer. And Trevor and I walk out of this. And this was like when Trevor was just new on the beat. And so this is like one of his first time, big time moments. You're talking, and Trevor's been a Bucs fan his whole life growing up in Sarasota. And so he's like, holy shit, this is like the best interview ever. Like, we got beer from Jon Gruden. So I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. I must say, in all my years of doing this, Tony Dungy didn't give me any beer, and Raheem Morris didn't give me any beer. I mean, it's before Raheem's time, but it just, it was a pretty cool experience. And I wrote that in the SR's Fab Five. And the funny thing is Pro Football Talk kind of immediately debunked it, which I was like, I have quotes from Jon Gruden saying that he wants to come back and coach. Like, why are you pissing on my parade here, right? And the thing is remember, he was working for ESPN at the time. Mm-hmm. So NFL Network picked it up. Pro Football Talk finally picked it up. And, it was like one of the biggest traffic days in Peter Report's history. And it was right before training camp, too. So people were dialed in. But the thing I remember about that was ESPN didn't touch it. And I found out, through a local ESPN source, I'm not going to name names, but that person was instructed not to touch it because it was really sensitive. And John really kind of ruffled some feathers because, as you know, he still did ESPN that year, right? That was like the farewell tour. And he actually called the Bucs, Raiders game, as a matter of fact. And then he went ahead and went on to choose the Raiders over the Buccaneers. And I don't blame him. I think that it would have been really tough for him to come back. I grew up listening to like heavy metal and like kind of like 80s rock, and you remember the band Rat? They were like on the latest Geico commercial, Mm-hmm. All right, well, Rat comes out with Round and Round, which was their biggest hit. All right, it was like a massive hit. And after that, like there's no follow-up. Like, that was their song. It's almost like Europe and the Final Countdown. Like, you lead with that, and then you just can't follow it up. Well, Jon Gruden led with the Super Bowl in 2002. He won it out of the gate in the most impossible of circumstances. And if I can just spend a couple seconds on that, John wasn't hired until February. Remember, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't hired until February. And he had to assemble a coaching staff that he'd never worked with before, because all of his staff was back in Oakland, right? Because they traded John, but they kept the staff there for Bill Callahan. Mm-hmm. So that's what that to me is like the most untold story, or the most unappreciated story of the Bucs Super Bowl season, is that John didn't get a head start on anything, right? He didn't come to Tampa until February, and then he had to assemble this coaching staff. And by the way, free agency is literally a couple weeks away. So you got to study the roster to find out who you have. Then you got to, initiate all these coaches into your offensive system. Thankfully, Monty Kiffin, he knew from hanging out and having beers at Reddington Beach all those years in the summer. So it was like, Monty, you do your thing. I'm going to deal with all these coaches on the offensive side and special teams coordinator I've never worked with before. And he made it happen. It was like lightning in a bottle. But I don't think Jon wanted to come back and fail in Tampa in round 2. And I think that also the allure of a guaranteed 10-year contract, right? And it's not so much the money, because Jon was making a ton of money between endorsements and Monday Night Football, that I think what the allure was of the Raiders was 2 things. Number one was unfinished business, right? Because he built a Super Bowl caliber team, obviously, and it didn't happen, right? Because Tom Brady and the Tuck rule, right? Mm-hmm. Brady and the Patriots went on to the Super Bowl that year, and then all of a sudden you've got, the team was Super Bowl ready. Why? Because the Bucs faced the Raiders in the Super Bowl, mm-hmm. right? So I think there was some unfinished business for Jon, and it'd be one thing to say, hey, I took 2 different teams to the Super Bowl and won, right? Actually 3 if you want to count the Raiders team that Bill Callahan inherited, right? So mm-hmm. I get credit for that one. And then I beat that team with my Buccaneers, and then I'm going to take the Raiders again and do it, right? So I think that from a not an ego standpoint, but from a challenge standpoint, I think was appealing to Jon. And then also, too, it wasn't about the money, but what it was like, listen, Mark Davis, if you're going to hire me as your head coach, guess what? You can't fire me for at least 5 years, because you're paying me $50 million not to coach mm-hmm. if I don't see the last 5 years of my deal. So if you want to do that, be my guest. But what that bought Jon Gruden was job security. Mm-hmm. And I think it really irked Jon that he got fired after a 9-7 season. When Monty Kiffin decided to bail on the team, he felt betrayed. The last 4 games, the Buccaneers literally went in the tank on the defensive side. Yep. And the numbers bear that out. Yeah. I mean, guys, they were 9-3 that year. Mm. And the year before, they were 9-7 and won the division with Jeff Garcia, right? So all of a sudden, the last 4 games, the bottom falls out, and they go from 9-3 to 9-7, and then he gets fired. And he didn't just get fired at the end of the season; he got fired on January 17th, which was 3 weeks after the season. And so I think that Jon said, listen, the next head coaching job I take, I don't want the quick trigger finger. I want job security. So that's my Jon Gruden. Didn't mean to take the show and run with it.
No, I love it, man.
Awesome.
I love it. I can sit here and listen to you talk about this forever. I mean, he is.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say he's royalty in this town forever. I don't think there's a Bucs fan out there that hates Jon Gruden, and I will always have a special place in my heart for Jon.
And the funny thing is, I was texting him during the season after he told me he wanted to come back and coach. And he and I would text during like Buck games, because Jon would watch him. He would watch the Bucs play, and he'd say, "Man, I'd love a shot at Jameis Winston, man." And so like I could tell there was some sincere interest in him possibly coming back to the Buccaneers. But just like in any business situation, and that's really what it boils down to, is it comes down to weighing your options, right? And I tell you what, there was a time when the Glazers really thought that Jon Gruden was going to be the next head coach. Like they thought that. And there was a certain time, and I'm not going to get into too many details, but where Jon told them, and they were stunned. They were absolutely stunned that wasn't going to happen. But
the allure, the allure of being able to build your own team and take your time in an NFL, where that's not really, it's like, do it now. Let's turn this around. You got 2 years. Let's do this. He's got, like you said, he's got 5, maybe 10 years. He can just take his time, build it the right way. And if you do it, take the right steps, you've got a powerful team for a long time, because you're not rushing to get things done in win now mode.
And let's not forget, Sammy, that's a great point. But the thing is Jon was revered. As much as he was beloved in Tampa, he was just as revered in the black hole, right? And remember, Jon didn't quit on the Raiders. The Raiders traded Jon. Mm-hmm. All he wanted was a new contract. He just wanted like a big contract. And Al Davis said, I'm not sure. And he traded him. So Jon did nothing wrong in the eyes of Raiders fans. So when he came back, it was like the return of the Messiah, to the Raiders fans. And so coupled with having, friendly relations in the Raiders media, and having a fan base that adores you, and an owner that obviously, because of his father's relationship with Jon, who, Al Davis hired him, revered him as well. It was the most comfortable of situations. And, the NFL is not for long, right? NFL, not for long. So why not go to a situation where, like you said, Sammer, you've got plenty of time to build and you've got all the support in the world.
Yeah, but Scott,
you know what? Go ahead, Christian.
The difference here, and my follow-up was going to be why he didn't take the Tampa job, and you answered it. But I get the allure of being able to build and having time, but it wasn't similar to 2002 when it was a defense that had peaked and it was going to come down quickly in the cap situation, which is why Bill Parcells didn't take the job.
Yeah,
this is a young team with a lot of talent. You got Mike Evans and Godwin, and he wanted to get his hands on Jameis. So I get the allure.
Did he though? Because he chose Mariota in the offseason. He could have chose Jameis. I'm just saying.
Stop.
Come on.
Just stop.
I don't know, man. Just
stop.
I get it, the allure and the long term and the job security, but it wasn't like, hey, you got to win next year or you're out because we have a 43-year-old quarterback.
Right.
A young kid and a young roster and a lot of talent. I don't know. Just my 2 cents. It would have been awesome to see him come back.
And you know what? The thing is I've seen now this team draft Chris Sims. I've seen this team draft Josh Freeman. I've seen this team draft Jameis Winston. And it is like just, throwing darts, like blindfold throwing darts. Because, yes, Lamar Jackson, right? And yes, obviously Patrick Mahomes, right? But it's like there's so many. Like I have no idea if Tua Tagovailoa is going to be good. I have no idea. I have no idea if Joe Burrow is going to be good. You got to prove it. There's been so many guys that are going to be the next this, that, or the other thing that just don't pan out. And sometimes you go to a shitty team and the support's not there, and you flame out. And it's just like David Carr when he went to the Texans. I mean, the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. David Carr was a good quarterback coming out of college. But man, when you're sacked and all of a sudden you feel pressure that's not there and you see ghosts, it just ruins you. And so I'm of the opinion, if I was general manager Jason Light, I would look for the next veteran quarterback. I would talk to Andrew Luck about coming out of retirement, because what he did, or I should say what Jon Gruden did, was he went from the likes of Brad Johnson to Brian Griese to Jeff Garcia, and everyone wants that Peyton Manning, that franchise quarterback and stuff, and they're so hard to get. And if you sit there and say, okay, we got the number 1 overall draft pick, we have our pick of the litter. We saw that with Jameis Winston. When it doesn't pan out, it's just like, okay, there's 5 years of no playoffs. And I'm not saying it's all Jameis's fault, but obviously Jameis Winston's not Patrick Mahomes, right? I think we can agree with that. And so I'm of the opinion that and I've even told Jason this, some unsolicited advice. I'm like go the veteran route, because it works. If you can find the right veteran quarterback that has been there and done that. I mean, Brian Griese helped the Bucs win the 2005 NFC South Championship. Jeff Garcia helped the Bucs win the 2007 NFC Championship. And you had Brad Johnson win the 2002 NFC South Championship. So you want to get a division-winning quarterback, get a veteran. So find the next free agent guy. And you've seen what Carson Palmer did with Bruce Arians out there in Arizona, right? If you have the right quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, and you got a veteran quarterback, it can work. And it's just a little bit more of a proven commodity than rolling your dice in some kid out of college.
It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm reading between the lines. All I'm hearing is Aaron Rodgers being the next quarterback.
We found the recipe. We found the recipe. We're going to get Aaron Rodgers after 2 more years. Then when he's ready to retire, we'll have Russell Wilson waiting in line.
That's right.
We'll just keep picking up stars year to year and just keep winning Super Bowls.
Aaron,
I love it.
Aaron in a couple of years is going to be like, man, when Byron takes when oh my God, when Todd Bowles takes over, man, I remember what Todd did to me back in Tampa.
That's right.
I can join.
You got it, Christian. You got it. Yeah. I
can join forces with him now. And
yes,
and listen, I'll take care of the offense, Todd. You take care of the defense. Let's get rolling.
Amazing. Scott, is it pretty much a foregone conclusion that Todd Bowles is going to be the guy who takes over once Arians leaves? I mean, do you fully expect him to be named assistant head coach here before the end of the season so they can secure him?
It's the Glazier style, as Stankin said.
I wouldn't be surprised at all. It makes the most sense. I think Todd Bowles is certainly deserving. I'm a defensive-minded guy. I love defense. To me, I kind of miss the old Bucs ball a little bit, the 17-14 games. I mean, at the same time, I watch a lot of Big 12 football, me being a K-Stater, so I'm used to seeing the Baylors, the Texas Techs, the Oklahomas, put 48 on teams and all that, and so I've got an appreciation for offense, but back in my days as a Pop Warner defensive coordinator, I hated offense. I hated it. And
Pasco County Predators.
Yeah, South Pasco Predators. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I remember that the offensive coordinator or head coach would send me the PDFs of the new offensive plays. Take a look at these. Tell me what you think. I'm like, I'm not looking at your damn plays. I hate offense. Screw you, man. Like, you figure it out. Because I'm going to look at it. I'm going to figure out a way to stop it. Is that what you want to hear? I said, no. You do you, I'll do me. And so I just love defense, and that's why the favorite guys for me are the Rondé Barbers, the John Lynches, the Warren Sapps. The guys that were on the defensive side, because that's really where the Bucs defense led the way and helped them win the Super Bowl, right? And it's just so much fun to watch. And so I went up to Todd Bowles at the East West Shrine game after practice, and he was talking to Mike Caldwell, who was the coach there. And I said, Todd, I just want to thank you for making it fun to cover the Bucs again, because I really enjoy watching your defense. All of these years of where I'm sitting there, and whether it's the press box or if I'm home watching the game, calling out, here comes the slant, against Lovie Smith's defense or Mike Smith's defense, it just was maddening, right? And so to see the brilliance that is Todd Bowles, especially that Denver game. I mean, listen, as beautiful as Sunday's game was, the myriad of looks and blitzes that he showed, which I detailed in that SR Fab 5 after the Broncos game with the actual video clips, was just masterful. I was just blown away by some of these blitzes that just are mind-boggling, and when we're super effective. So
go ahead, Simon.
I was going to say, Scott, you brought up the defense. Obviously, this past Sunday, the defense was a huge part of stopping that Green Bay Packers offense, which up to that point was basically unstoppable, right?
Yeah.
A guy who doesn't get sacked, 3 sacks going into that game, doesn't throw interceptions. We end up putting together a game plan and executing it nearly perfectly. Now, going into this Raiders game, facing Derek Carr and a slightly different type of offense with Jon Gruden, what do you think the formula is for this defense going in? Are they going to basically go in and attack the same way that they did with Aaron Rodgers, or are they going to go in here and possibly face a more of a risky opportunity if they go in with that same type of mentality, or should they just do what they do?
Well, I think that you have to look at what's happening now with Oakland, right? And the offensive line literally has not practiced. That's one thing on the conference call with Jon Gruden yesterday, which was Wednesday afternoon. He said, we sent Trent Brown home, but we also sent our offensive line home. So it was difficult practicing without our starting offensive line today. And that continued into today, which is Thursday. And so when you've got that situation, right, you've got to take advantage of that. And so not having, well, first of all, they had the bye week, right? So they didn't have any practice for several days. Then you're missing practice. So, yeah, I think you throw the kitchen sink at that offensive line and you blitz the hell out of them and hope that they're a little rusty or not as prepared or whatever, right? Because it's one thing to sit there and do the remote Zoom calls with the coaches and go over the film. It's another thing to actually be out there on the practice field, going over those steps and watching, this guy who's right in front of you drop into coverage while this guy comes that you weren't expecting. So if I'm Bulls, I'm trying to blitz Derek Carr early and often. And I'm not scared about the 73% completion percentage. And I'm not scared about the fact he's only thrown 1 interception, because I just went up against a guy who was completing 70% of his passes and hadn't thrown any interceptions and hadn't even been sacked before, Aaron Rodgers. And look what I did to him. So, yeah, if I'm Bulls, I'm bringing it. And I'm bringing it early and seeing if I can rattle Derek Carr, who's not as good as Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't get rattled, but he got rattled on Sunday. And so, yeah, I'm doing that. Maybe not with the same looks, but listen, Todd Bowles' playbook is like that thick. There's plenty of new blitzes that they haven't even seen on tape. And the one thing, too, and I will say this, and I don't mean to belabor my defensive coordinator, Pop Warner role too much, but the one thing that really taught me that's so applicable to my job at Pewter Report covering the Buccaneers is when you have film, right? You watch the film, and as much stuff as you can put on film, you have to practice for. Well, guess what? The NFLPA says you can't have 4-hour practices. There's only so much on-field practice time you're allowed to have. And so if you're Todd Bowles and you're 6 weeks into the season and you've literally shown 20 different blitz packages with 3 different variants. And what I mean by that is I'm showing this look and I'm doing this, but I'm also doing that and I'm also doing this out of the same look, right? So it's not really 20 blitzes, it's really 60 when you multiply it by 30. Well, it's like you're burning so much practice time. Like, well, we got to account for this look that they've shown, and they did this back in week 2, and they did this in week 3, and they did this in week 4. So you got to practice and prepare for all of that, as well as their base stuff. And so you're burning so much practice time on the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Well, guess what? There's only going to be 60 or 70 plays in the game, and Bowles isn't going to show you everything. But if you have to prepare for everything, it's like you only have so much time to dedicate to this, that, and the other thing. And so you burn a lot of practice time that ends up being wasted because he's showing you this, and he might bring a little bit of this, but guess what? He's going to bring you that which you haven't seen. And that's really where it screws you as an offensive coordinator trying to prepare for it, or an offensive line coach or a quarterback, is you got to roll through all of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, all of the different variants of what he could do, because he's not running some stupid vanilla scheme like Lovie Smith and Mike Smith did.
Yeah, I fully expect our defense to even ramp it up more. I mean, Devin White came out in his press conference after the game and said the Packers had no idea how to handle their games up front. These guys, you can see their confidence building. I mean, they essentially you can put the victory in their hands in the last game. I mean, Jamel Dean's interception turned the tide, and eventually the offense got going. The Denver game, right before the half, they make an idiot call, but we the defense makes a big play, gets us back into the game, captures momentum. And for an old school Bucs fan like me and you who love defense, I love to see it, man. I mean, our offense, to me, hasn't even found itself yet. Doesn't really have that great of an identity. Mike Evans catches one ball last week, and obviously with the defensive touchdown, it helps, but we still put 38 points up on the Packers. We haven't seen a full offense and defensive performance yet. I don't even know, what the sky is as far as our limit is, for this team yet, man.
You're right, Stank. And if I were to tell you guys two things before the game, if I were to say the final score is 38-10 and Mike Evans has one catch for 10 yards, you're like, oh my God. Oh,
we would assume the Bucs had the 10 points.
Yeah. Packers killed the Bucs, but it's like when you can not just survive a game, but destroy an opponent with 38 unanswered points with Mike Evans catching one pass for 10 yards.
And our number one wide receiver, Scotty Miller, he didn't have many catches either. It's insane, man.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Godwin had 2 catches, I think.
No, he had 5 for like 60 or something like that. 4 or 5 for 60.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So
he was just more of a, kind of a chain mover role, and his plays were big. Don't get me wrong, but I mean it wasn't like a 115-yard game from Chris Godwin that he's capable of doing, but they just didn't need him. It's crazy that this offense is so balanced now with Ronald Jones, who's the 5th leading rusher in the league right now, and he's about 20 yards away from being the 3rd leading rusher in the league. And they have the balance they're looking for in offense, and Tom Brady is playing at a very, very high level.
Scott, you mentioned Mike Evans. You mentioned the balance and Rojo's getting going. You mentioned on your podcast with Mike being the guy that he is, the team guy. It's crazy to me, by the way. I was talking to Stank about it earlier, that in years past, we're talking about, God, Lee, if we had less turnovers, or Jesus, the defense played better, or this. Yeah. We're this close to being 4-2, but we're 2-3, and et cetera, that you find things, you manufacture things to complain about, right? Mentioned on your podcast, look for a push, not only because he's a team player, because he's a team captain, because of he's so selfless. Yeah. Look for a push in December to get Mike to his 1,000. But the counterpoint that me and Stank had, this quarterback we have, it's not the old one. He's not going to force it.
Right.
I can't see Bruce manufacturing stuff just to go to Mike.
Right. Well, but at the same time, though, I think that Mike is a selfless team player, selfless. And if you were to tell Mike before the season, you have one of two paths. Either you're going to be in NFL immortality and surpass your legend, your icon, your idol, Randy Moss, as the only receiver in NFL history that has started his career with 7 1,000-yard seasons in a row, or you get to go to the playoffs. Not telling that you're even going to win your game. Not even saying that you're going to win the division. It might be a wild card. It might be on the road. You might lose. Which one would you take? In a heartbeat, knowing Mike Evans like I do, and I don't know him that well, but I've been around the guy enough to know, and I've heard how he talks so passionately about his teammates.
Mark Cook asked him that, and he said, "Come on, Mark."
Exactly. He's like, "I'll take the playoffs, like every time," and he wants to win. And the thing is, he's not young anymore. He's not Sean Murphy-Bunting. He's not Antoine Winfield. And what I mean by that is those guys are thinking to themselves, whatever happens, happens. I've got a long career ahead of me. I'll eventually get there, whatever. No, he's in, year 7 now. I mean, it's 2014, first round draft pick, right? Time's ticking, right? And Mike's a very young guy still. He entered the league, I think, at barely 20 years old. So it's not like Mike is at the end of his career, but Mike has gone through enough losing seasons to where he said enough. He wants to win. But I still think that with 10 games left, we've yet to see those dominant 150, maybe 175, 200-yard games from Mike Evans, and I think they're coming. I think that there's going to be a couple games. God, he's going up against the Falcons twice. He's going up against the Giants. So, there's opportunities for him to make up for some of these one-catch 10-yard games. And you know what? If the guy ends up getting 1,000 yards, it might be like his second season, I think, where he had 1,001 yards. Barely got it, but it still counts.
The last game.
Exactly. Yeah. So I could see them do that. And I could see Byron and Tom Brady want that for Mike, not at the expense of trying to lose a game or whatever, but there's ways to get him the ball, and there's ways to manufacture some yards. And I could see that happening. And I think that the schedule, I think really after the Chiefs game, I think it opens up. You get the Vikings, you get the Falcons twice, you get the Lions.
So got the Panthers again too. They don't
right.
have anybody back there.
There's games that are going to be there for the taking. And, and guess what, guys? If this game end up being moved to Monday or Tuesday, Mike Evans is not going to complain about it. It's one less day where he's on that sore ankle and one day closer to it being closer to 100%.
The other thing, too, is we've all watched Calvin Johnson, right? We saw what Calvin Johnson was with the Lions and never saw success, never saw enough wins to where it mattered, right? Mike Evans has seen that. I'm sure that's in the back of his mind. Let's just win now here and worry about all this other stuff later, right?
A lot of people would ask me, Jameis Winston had a 5,000-yard season last year. Okay, well, what did it do? It got 2 guys in the Pro Bowl. It got Evans and Godwin in the Pro Bowl, and it got him a 7-9 record.
Didn't even win 10 games with that,
right?
Which is kind of sad. But
follow up for you, Scott.
Yeah.
And me and Stank were talking about this earlier. I think it's time to start a petition. It's time for a new Hall of Fame voter in Tampa. I'm gonna say it because I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit, Stank. I think Scott should be the Hall of Fame voter here, bro.
I agree.
Think Scott should be in the damn room. Rondé would be in the Hall of Fame, and so would freaking John Lynch. But anyways, I digress.
You know what? And listen,
Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer.
I say this as humbly as I can. You're damn right. I would get them in the Hall of Fame, and that's
exactly how humble works on this show, by the way.
I'm not knocking Ira Kaufman. I love Ira Kaufman dearly. He's a great guy, but I think that I can make the case. And that's all it is I'm not saying I'm better than Ira. I'm just confident in my abilities. I believe that I could get John Lynch and Rondé Barber in the Hall of Fame.
Listen, no person whose favorite food is a beet salad really belongs out there in front of people trying to convince other people to choose things. I'm assuming
I automatically don't take your decision making serious.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hold on, bro. Is Mike Evans a Hall of Famer? Because me and Stank I'd love your opinion.
What?
Of course he is. Well, I'll say this.
Stank said without a ring, he's not. So
I said without a ring, it's a hard sell.
It's harder. It's a hard sell.
Because that receiver room is full of Clydesdales.
Well, when you look at receivers, it's all about numbers. That's really all it is. It's about how many catches, how many yards, how many touchdowns, etc. It's such a statistically driven position. So much so now that if you were to strip guys like Lynn Swann and John Stallworth of their rings, or I should say of their Hall of Fame status right now, and then say, all right, well, you're not in the Hall of Fame. Now make the case for it. You look at it and say, wow, I know the Steelers won all those Super Bowls, but your numbers don't stack up to a Randy Moss or a Chris Carter or those types of things, because it really is. The NFL has evolved in so much of a passing game that it is going to be just a strictly numbers position. And I think with Mike being a bigger receiver, a guy that is capable of turning in big time chunk plays where he's going to get yards and he's going to score touchdowns. And obviously Thomas found him in the red zone. Holy smokes. I've never seen so many 1 and 2 yard touchdowns before from any Bucs receiver. But certainly that's been the magic formula down there in the red zone. Throw the ball to Mike, and he's got 6 touchdowns now, and I think he's going to tackle. I think he's going to end up breaking his own record, which is 12 touchdowns in a season. I think he'll get more than 12 this year. But yeah, I think that because he doesn't rely on speed, that he can have a Keyshawn Johnson-like career where those big-bodied receivers, even when they slow down a tick, they still have the size. Look at Jason Witten. That guy can't even run anymore. He's with the Raiders still. But he knows how to position his body and kind of box out, and he knows how to find those soft spots and zones. And he's not even the number one tight end on the Raiders. That's Darren Waller. But when you look at Evans, I think Mike can play to age 33, 34, and still be a physical blocker on the perimeter, still be a physical, even if he devolves into a possession receiver, he still has tons of value. So I think his longevity, if he can stay healthy, is going to get him serious Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah, the Ravens just signed Des Bryant. He hasn't played football in 3 years.
Scott, is this the week that the Bucs put the offense together? Is this the week we see them really put all their weapons on display? Or because I don't really know what to think of this Raiders defense. 1 week, they're the team that beats Kansas City.
I came prepared, guys. I'll tell you about this Raiders defense.
They beat Kansas City, and they beat them convincingly. Like it wasn't a fluke type of win when you watched it. I watched that entire game.
Yeah.
So is this the week that the Bucs can take advantage of some things, or like what do we expect?
I'll say this as a former Kansas City resident for years and a former Kansas City Chiefs fan. There is a thing called Raider Haters Week, and it's real. And if you're not in the AFC West, you don't really kind of get it. But like I would say down here, the closest thing is it's Florida State caliber. It's that level of intense hatred. It's kind of that way with the Broncos and Chiefs because they're right next door neighbors, Kansas and Colorado. I mean, technically Missouri, but it's a regional team in Kansas City. But there's something special about the Raiders and the Chiefs. It's a hated rivalry dating back decades, but it's still real. And so I think that even though the players come and go, there's still that feel, that energy. It's a special week for the Raiders. And of course, with the Chiefs being the Super Bowl champion, they're going to get everybody's best shot. And I think that Jon Gruden had that team locked and loaded and ready to go. And yeah, I think they played well. And they're going to get Nick, I call him Nick Kawasaki because I can't pronounce his name. They're getting him back. But the problem with the Raiders defense is you've got their leading tacklers on the team are their safeties, right? And whenever that happens, that's not a good sign because it should be your linebackers. It should be the Devin Whites and the Levante Davids. But with the Raiders, it's not. So what does that tell you? It tells you that they are in the bottom half of the league in run defense. And part of the reason for that is they've missed 56 tackles, which is ranked 31 in the NFL. The only team that has more missed tackles is the New York Jets. So when you've got that sloppy tackling going on, and that's one thing that I picked up on the conference call with Jon Gruden this week, was he was talking about how the Bucs defense is such good at tackling. And I agree. It's not just the front seven. It's also the perimeter guys. It's the cornerbacks. They tackle really good on this team. And that's a big reason why the Bucs have the number one ranked rush defense. But when you look at the Raiders, 56 missed tackles in 5 games. The Bucs only have 29 missed tackles in 6 games. So that's a huge discrepancy. And so I think that's a big thing to watch is I think Rojo has the potential to have a really big game against the Raiders. They're very much like the Packers. They're not a very opportunistic team in terms of creating takeaways. They have 3 interceptions on the year. They've got 7 sacks through 5 games. The only guy that has gotten to the quarterback is Max Crosby. He's got 4. He'll go against Tristan Wirfs, and I'm not even worried about it because I think Wirfs is such a stud. He's not a quick twitch, uber athletic guy like Khalil Mack. He's more of a he's a better version of Carl Nassib, and ironically, the Raiders have Carl Nassib, and Nassib got paid a huge king's ransom out there, has half a sack to show for it. Cleveland Farrell is not really shown up, the number 1 pick from last year. So the Raiders defense doesn't scare me. And Sammer, to your point, I think this could be the week that the Buccaneers really explode offensively. But at the same time, what does that even mean? They put 31 points on the board last week against the Packers, So
and it's crazy because all I can remember is a couple nice plays by Gronk and a handful of nice runs by Rojo. Yeah. Nothing stands out to me like, look at this offensive performance we had. And I'm trying to remember what we did.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the beauty of it. When you spread the ball around like that, and you've got so many weapons from Tyler Johnson, the rookie, to the old man, Rob Gronkowski, and everybody in between, whether it's Scotty Miller, whether it's Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, the backside of the backfield, so many guys to throw to, Cam Brate. It's a pick your poison type thing because you really take away Mike Evans. That's fine. There's still plenty of guys on this team that can beat you, even with O.J. Howard on IR.
The Raiders on offense, I think Josh Jacobs is a special running back. I do. I've been extremely impressed by how he's looked in the NFL. And then obviously they drafted Ruggs. They have some speed. They've got Waller at tight end. But that offense also, you shut down Jacobs or you at least corral him. They don't really scare me either. So, and with the defense playing as confident as they are, our defensive line starting to generate some real pass rush. Mm-hmm. Man, I'm hoping it's a blowout.
The thing about the Raiders offense, we'll talk about them for a quick second. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking with a couple of Raiders sources at the NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis in February, right? And I was talking to them about Derek Carr because there's been some back and forth. Does Jon Gruden like Derek Carr? Does he love him? Is he looking to get rid of him? So, ask Brad Johnson, ask Chris Sims. Ask Brian Greasy, ask Jeff Garcia. Jon Gruden likes his quarterback, but he rarely loves his quarterback, And so that's just kind of par for the course. But the thing about Carr was, and people really said, and talking to the Raiders source that I had, he got a bad rap last year. They didn't have any deep threats, and so a lot of it was dink and dunk. And the reason why Derek Carr didn't go deep a lot was because the receivers weren't getting separation deep. So what's the point? If you look last year, Tyrell Williams was the only Raiders receiver that averaged more than 13 yards per catch. He averaged 15 and a half. He's not even on the team anymore. Waller was close with 12.7. And then Hunter Renfrow had a good rookie season, 12.3. But this year, it's a different story. And even as Kevin Ross said on the Bucs conference call, as the Bucs cornerbacks coach, it looks like the Raiders are kind of getting back to their roots. Like, run, throw deep. Run, throw deep. And now all of a sudden you've got Nelson Aguilar, who's from Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. 3 touchdowns this year, 18.5 yards per catch. You've got Waller, who's been getting a lot of attention because he was the 1,000-yard guy last year. He's down to 8.7, more of a possession type guy, but at any moment he can get down the field and run the seam. Hunter Renfro's gone from 12.3 to 14.2. So he's even making, as that slot possession guy, more plays in the intermediate section of the field. Then you got Ruggs, who's missed some time with injury. But damn, man, 29.5 yards per catch when that cat catches the ball. And so He's the deep guy, and as we know, whether it's Joey Galloway in Tampa or Scotty Miller, whatever speedster you have, you don't have to always target that deep threat to have that guy be effective. Sometimes he can help dictate coverage and open things up underneath for a Gronkowski, for Mike Evans in those intermediate routes. And instead of maybe getting that 70-yard touchdown bomb, which you might want to throw 1 or 2 of those a game and see what happens. Maybe you get the DPI, maybe you actually get the catch. But what you're doing is you're creating that cushion where those receivers, the Gronks, the Godwins, the Evans, can get those 25, 30, 35-yard chunk plays and get you down the field. And that's what the Raiders are doing right now. They're creating some of those chunk plays, and they're taking more of a shot. But the problem is you're averaging 30.2 yards per game on offense. That's great. That's a sign of an explosive offense when you're over 30 points. But defensively, you're giving up 30.4. And I think that's why they're 3-2 and not 4-1 or 5-0.
They also haven't faced a secondary like this. But Scott,
that's right.
Listen, we've asked you lots of questions,
sure,
a lot of football-related stuff, and on this show we have 2 very important questions.
Oh boy,
it can make or break. It can make or break the pot. It can literally make or break the show.
Oh boy.
No joke.
All
By
right.
the way, earlier you referenced Trevor. We don't use that name around here. We used to be the chosen one.
That Carolina Panthers fan?
Used to be the chosen one. He left us.
Oh my God.
And he also
Carolina
had
Panthers fan with a very
horrible
questionable palate. Yeah.
a horrible palate. But Scott, there's only one food you want to eat when you're watching football, right? I mean, it's the way God intended it to be.
Yes, he did.
If you're having chicken wings, Scott, are you having them wet? Do you need them wet? Or are you going chalkboard dry? Rub, that is.
Okay, so I'm not trying to sit on the fence here. I'm not. But here's the thing.
You have to choose.
Okay.
You have to choose.
Okay. All right. I'm actually going to say wet because they're going to end up wet. But the thing is, I like the dry rub chicken wing.
Hold on. I got
And then
Let him finish.
And then I put sauce on it. Okay. And
I'm okay with that.
That's
okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Yes.
the follow-up question is the more important one of the 2, Scott.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Are you dipping it in blue cheese or ranch?
Ranch all the way.
Fuck.
It's over.
Ranch.
Fuck shit.
We're not going to air this.
This is like you just wasted an hour.
Not even for us, just out of respect. We don't want to derail your career at this point, right? We don't want to.
But can I tell you why? Can I tell you why? There's a legitimate reason why.
There's no legitimate reason.
If it's a Carmen Vitale reason, then I can fuck with it. If it's not, then I don't want to hear it.
Medical. She has a medical.
Yeah, she has a medical ranch exemption. Exactly.
Let him finish. So I want to hear what he says.
All right. I'm a happily married guy. All right. My wife Ashley loves blue cheese, and
Smart.
Smart woman, man.
I know. I outkicked my coverage, guys. I did. I'm telling you. All right. So here, the true story. And I think this is going to earn me some loose cannon points here. Right. I was not a blue cheese fan until I met my wife. Okay. And now I like blue cheese. I don't know what she did. I don't know if it was getting enough like wedge salads with blue cheese, right, with the bacon sprinkles and all that stuff, or if it was getting the wings or whatever. But she's such a blue cheese fiend that I almost have to order ranch just so I have something to dip my wings in, because she will consume all of the blue cheese. So it's almost a strategic move, because when she orders when she orders blue cheese, she hoards it all. So like I don't get anything to dip my wings in unless I order ranch. So it's almost ranch by default.
You can bring your own ranch. Bring your own blue cheese. That's what I do.
Or don't.
That's a good idea.
Just don't.
That's a good idea.
So, Sammer, on to the next. Because we're sponsored by.
Yeah. So those are the 2 most important questions on the show, right? But there's still another weird question that floats around on the majority of our episodes. These guys don't like me to ask this question. I think Stank's slightly embarrassed. I don't know how far back you've been listening or watching this show, but
I've heard about this.
You've been in the locker room.
Yeah, you've been in the locker room. You've seen some of the amazing bodies that our Buccaneers roster has.
Yeah.
And this past year, when Vita Vea was actually chosen by the fans as Mr. Beck's 2020, right? Because he has a great body, great physique.
That's like,
He's
take it
a
to the
best.
He's a
The best.
specimen, right?
Yes, I
So
think I will.
Best.
So my question to you, or our question to you, if you were to choose one Buccaneer player to just completely lather down in baby oil, Beck's baby oil,
Oh my gosh.
who would it be?
You, that is. Not to see in baby.
I actually have a good follow-up question, but I want to hear the answer first.
Okay, so I have to pick a Buccaneer player that I personally am going to lather in Beck's baby oil.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very clear.
Holy shit.
We asked Ryan Jensen this question. He refused to answer.
Ryan Jensen was like,
But
nope.
he's a good answer though.
Gosh. I mean, they're like naked, right? I mean, they've got like
Whatever. Listen, use your imagination.
I'm not doing anything naked.
No, that we're not. It doesn't have to be lewd.
No.
It could just
Okay.
be. Listen, the guy hamstring
helping
issues. You
yeah,
got to help
thank you.
out. You got to help out where
Okay,
you
all
can.
right. So I'm assisting in getting a player ready for Sundays. What
You
saying.
got it.
Chris
Exactly.
Godwin, or, you know,
I don't know why, but I think the name that's popping in my mind, and I have no idea why. I think just because we've had a really cool, like, you know, professional relationship, and I think he would appreciate it. I think it would be Will Golston. I don't know why.
That's a
I,
big
I,
body,
pre-
too.
I appreciate Will's game, you know, and I think Will would appreciate some Bex.
I agree.
And so,
By the way, one of the most impressive, just humans I've ever seen in person.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
just an enormous person.
yeah, no,
I like it.
And you know, here's the thing I appreciate about Will. Will is one of the ultimate team players. He's a dirty work kind of guy. He's like a glue guy, right? And the thing about Will is there have been times where he has been asked to put on weight and get up to like 310, and there's been times where he's been asked to chisel weight and, you know, like, or not chisel, but like lose weight, cut weight is what I meant to say, and get chiseled down to like 280. And I think his real normal body appreciates 300 pounds. I think he's about a 290 to 300 pound kind of guy. But yeah, he's got an incredible physique, and I appreciate his pass rush this year. I think he's getting to the quarterback. He's got 2 sacks. This is a guy that's never had more than 3 in a season. I'm rooting for him to get to 4, you know, and
I love that answer.
And I love the fact that he's hitting these quarterbacks, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or Teddy Bridgewater. And I like Will. Will's come out to some of our Pewter Report events before. And I think that he would be comfortable with me lathering him up in some Becks.
I like it.
I cannot express how blown away I am by your answer.
Impressed.
Just because
I'm impressed.
How you turned it around into a professional sports answer,
He
as
did.
well
Listen,
as the nonsense. Like,
Imagine him in the room with the Hall of Fame voters right there. He just took a baby oil question and he sold me. He
What
sold
was
me.
your follow-up, Stank? What was your follow-up?
I was going to say historically, because he's obviously, he's old school. He's been in the locker room Super Bowl years before. Historically, would there be a player that would be worthy of it, outside of Will Golston, just historically?
Rondé Barber. Rondé is my favorite.
Barber.
Rondé is my absolute favorite. A quick story about Rondé Barber. This was so cool. I think Rondé is such a thinking man, right? And that's the one thing at pewterreport.com that we try to do to really differentiate ourselves is, and that's why we've gone out and gotten the Trevor Sickamas, the John Ledyards, to really add that analysis, right, to the coverage that Mark Cook and I, and Grizz.
You don't rely on clickbait stuff?
What's that?
You mean you don't rely on clickbait stuff? I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah. We try to avoid the cheap clickbait stuff, Christian. Yeah. Good eye for that. I appreciate that, but yeah, we try to really, I always look at it like this. When I can read somebody's content, whether it's Mark's or John's or Trevor's in the past, or even Matt or Taylor, if I read something, and keep in mind, this is my job. This is no ego talking. This is my job. Like, I'm paid to be a Buccaneer expert, and I don't know everything. Rick Stroud doesn't know everything. Greg Allman, I think, probably knows close to everything.
Yes.
but the thing is when I read something in the admin, I'm proofing a story, and I learned something I didn't know, right? That to me excites me. That to me is like, wow, that's cool. Because if I don't know it, then probably the Buccaneer fans don't know it, and that's going to be good, exciting content. That's kind of how I measure things, right? And so when it comes to when it comes to football players that I've covered, Rondé Barber was one of the most cerebral guys. I would say Rondé Barber and Tony Mayberry, probably the most just full-on cerebral guys. And the thing I loved about Rondé was he got our coverage. He understood what we were about, that we went like the extra mile. We went a little bit deeper. Rondé read Pewter Report. He read Buccaneer Magazine back in the day. He read, our report. He would come up and tell me, hey, read your stuff. You've got good stuff.
He watches those cannons.
Appreciated that. Yeah, exactly. Well, why wouldn't he, right?
Right.
And the thing is Rondé every year would give me a sit down, like a conversation, a Q&A. And Rondé, later in his career, and I'm kind of talking like 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, et cetera, I would put in my request for Rondé, and Rondé would give me a one-on-one. And the PR staff, whoever it was, the PR guy would be there kind of sitting there, and Rondé would literally shoo him away and say, like, no, I got this. Like, I'm cool. Scott's cool. And we would talk, and I would always put in, I need 30 minutes. I want like a real in-depth time with Rondé. And I swear to God, like it would be at the bare minimum 50 minutes. Sometimes we went over an hour. And Rondé, you can give Rondé a topic on anything: music, politics, entertainment, history, sports, outside of football. He's so worldly. He's so knowledgeable that he could go anywhere with that. And his answers were always great. One answer that sticks to mind was I did a kind of a like a word association with Rondé one year, and I mentioned Tony Dungy, right? I mean, this is Tony Dungy, right? Defensive guru, the guy that turned around the Buccaneers, et cetera, et cetera. And Rondé, I asked him, I said, word association time, Tony Dungy. And he said, missed opportunities. And it blew me away, right? Like, it's like, of all the things to say about Tony Dungy, and Rondé loves Tony Dungy. But what he was saying was that he was pissed because Tony Dungy never held the offense to the same standard as the defense. There wasn't that accountability on that side of the ball. And you saw that the last 3 years with Tony's coordinators, right? He went from Mike Shula to Les Steckel to Clyde Christensen, right? And then he was gone. And he was fired because he couldn't score enough points to beat the Eagles, right? That's just the facts. Mm-hmm. And so Rondé was just completely awesome. And the funny thing is the PR guy would circle back around and say, hey, Rondé, it's been 30 minutes. And he'd shoo him away. I got this, man. This is Scott. Don't worry about it, And so I love those sit downs with Rondé Barber. He's just one of my all-time favorites. As a player, as a person, Rondé came out and talked to my Pop Warner football team and was phenomenal. Just absolute class act. And the thing is I try to be as objective as possible. I try not to root for the Buccaneers in that sense. I try not to root for any players. I'm happy when the Buccaneers win for two reasons. I'm happy for the Buccaneer fan base because guess what, guys? That's our audience, right? Everybody that comes to pewterreport.com is a Buccaneer fan, and I'm happy for the Buccaneer fans that their team won. And I'm happy for the players and the coaches in the front office because I see the blood, sweat, and tears that these guys put into this product through the practices, through training camp, through the OTAs, everything. How they fight through injuries. I see the work they put in. So I'm happy when the Buccaneers win for those reasons. It's not selfishly speaking. It's not like, oh, great, I get to write about a win. Guess what? I'm going to write about a win or a loss. It's one or the other. I've got to write about it. So my job, it doesn't really change. The only thing that changes is the content. But I still have to write a game story. I still have to write a column. So would I rather see the Buccaneers win? I will unabashedly say now, after 12 years of no playoffs, yes, I would like to see the Buccaneers make the playoffs. I want the narrative to change. It was a fun and different dynamic when I could walk into a Buccaneer locker room and have 45 minutes and sit there and say, holy shit, who am I going to talk to today? There's Simeon Rice and Warren Sapp, and there's Derek Brooks and Mike Allstott and John Lynch and Rondé Barber. There's Brian Kelly and Shelton Quarles. It was a Pewter Pro Bowl locker room, right? I mean, it seemed like by the time I bounced from Buccaneer legend to Buccaneer legend in the making at that time, but it seemed like like, where'd the 45 minutes go? You know, I didn't even get a chance to talk to Brooks today, or I didn't get a chance to talk to John Lynch today, you know, or gosh, you know, I got a chance to really know Greg Spires, the Crane, better, you know, or I got a chance to know the super sub, Tyoka Jackson, better, or Ellis Wims, you know, and sometimes some of the best guys to go to were not the star players. I mean, Derek Brooks, I love him, but you talk about a company, man, Derek Brooks wouldn't give you anything. You know, I'd sit there and you know, and I'd say, you know, hey, big game this week, Derek. You know, you're playing Brett Favre and the Packers. Well, you know, Scott, is Wednesday. You know, and I'm just concerned about getting through Wednesday's practice, and then Thursday's practice will be next, and you know that's on Sunday. So I'm focused on Wednesday's practice. You know, okay, you know, all right, Derek, I love you, but you know, nothing, right?
Can't write with that.
Yeah, well, so some of those other semi-stars, the Dave
That's what makes
Moores,
DeMar Dotson so great.
Oh God,
DeMar is the best, man.
DeMar was one of the best. Oh
Was
my
it
God.
on y'all's podcast that he said, "I don't like the pass block"? I was like, or run block. I was like,
Yeah, run
Yeah,
block.
yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yes.
we know that, DeMar. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly. So
We know that.
it's those types of things that were great, and I enjoyed, you know, walking in there, and you could kind of like you could walk in the locker room and feel the tension between Warren Sapp on this side and Keyshawn Johnson on that side. You know, it's like those were the days, and I'm looking forward to getting back to those days because it was fun. And the other thing too, guys, is like you got to remember when I was doing this in 1995, I was, gosh, what was I, 24 years old. I walked in the door with Brooks and Sapp. I'm their age, you know, and you know, and so 97 comes, and I'm 26 at the time. You know, you get spoiled, right? You get spoiled thinking, oh shit, this is covering an NFL team, right? They're on Monday Night Football this week, and there are all these Pro Bowlers, and they're going to the playoffs every year, and you get spoiled, and then you go through the dry spells, and you're like, wow, you long for those days. But I think, you know, selflessly speaking, yeah, the old hats in this, myself and Rick Stroud, were pretty much the only ones left from that era. I'd like to see it again, but for the Jenna Lanes and for, you know, the Luke Easterlings and for the Loose Cannons, you know, and for you guys that are coming on the scene that are new media, you know, different media. And even though you may not be in the locker room per se, just the narrative change, right? Covering a playoff caliber team, it would be different and fun. And yeah, I'm as tired of the losing as anybody, to be honest with you.
Scott, as you know, this is a Fan Friday episode. We have some email questions here that we're going to play for you.
I love it.
Let's get some answers here.
All right.
By the way, if we get credentialed, do you think I get kicked out or lose my credentials if I try to rub baby oil on a player? I'm just wondering. Like, just trying to help him out with this answer.
You never know until you try, bro.
I got it.
I'm going to say the public relations staff of the Buccaneers would frown upon that. Yeah.
Christian, there's three of us. There's four of us. So if you get kicked, it's fine. We still got three more to fill in. It's all good.
It's true.
Take the shot.
Take the shot.
Absolutely.
Take the shot.
We got you.
You can't miss the shot you never take. Yeah.
You got to.
I'm gonna have a hard time going back and talking Bucs football with Mark and John Ledyard. I'm just telling you, like, this is too much fun.
Well, you mean Mark talks Bucs football?
Yeah, I don't hear him talk anything. He's like promo and just nonsense guy the whole time.
That's why Uncle
Which
Sam
is why I love him so much.
Back in.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right.
Hey boys, it's Buck North from Toronto, also known as Greg DeCruz.
Like Greg.
And
Good
of course, as far as wings go, I like all wings actually, and usually more sauce. I don't like dipping in wings in anything. I just like the extra stuff, like honey garlic, etc. But anyway, big fan of Scott Reynolds. Been a fan of his from years. He probably remembers me subscribing from Toronto.
Yep.
Anyway, the question I have is, do you see them making a trade now that they freed up some money from Ali and Marpet? The only weakness I see is maybe in blocking tight end in case Auclair can't come back healthy. Maybe they find some a space for another tight end that can block, give Gronk a breather now and then. But other than that, I don't see them going after Antonio Brown. I don't think he's a good fit for the locker room. And love you guys. Keep up the great work. And go Bucs.
Yes. We love you.
Thanks,
That's a good one.
Buckworth.
Yeah.
Appreciate
And
it.
And I know Buck North, he's a great guy. And, you know, I'll say this. The great news is Anthony Auclair, for you Canada fans up there, you Canadians, he is coming back. So he's getting pretty close. So I think that'll help the Bucs run blocking. But you know what? And I gave Byron Leftwich props today on the conference call for using Joe Haig. And I thought that was a really good thing. We saw that down the stretch in that 3-and-out, that unfortunate 3-and-out that happened at the end of the Bears game when they tried to go 13 personnel and run the ball in a too predictable formation with Tanner Hudson and Cameron Brate blocking, not the best idea. No. So I give props to Leftwich for saying, you know, we'll keep those guys shelved as blockers. We'll bring in Joe Haig and line him up next to either Wirfs, or if you want to go double tight on the side, line him up next to Gronk and really put some beef behind the running game. As for a trade, I thought that Jason Light did a fantastic job with that Steve McClendon trade, and I think that that's going to really pay some dividends. He is a class act individual. He's going to fit in seamlessly in that locker room and really bring some good veteran experience. And like I said last week on our podcast and a couple of radio hits that I did, I'm not so much concerned about the drop-off from Vita Vea to Nacho, right, Raheem Nunez-Roches, because that is from A to B, right? I mean, Vita was playing at such a high level. But really, it's okay when Vita needs, or I should say when Nacho needs a breather, who are you going to put in? Ledbetter, you're going to put in Khalil Davis, who I like. He's got an upside, but he's a rookie that's unproven. And then I think you go from A to B, right? From Vita to Nacho, but then you're going to go from B to C, from Nacho to whoever that backup is. And I think with McClendon now, you're going to go to a guy that is really going from B to B. I think that he helps shore up that nose tackle spot. I don't see them using some other moves. I've talked to some people inside One Buccaneer Place. They needed that move for some of these roster moves that are coming up for injured reserve, et cetera. I don't see Antonio Bryant joining the Buccaneers. I know Tom Brady probably wants him, but the chemistry on this team is so good, and they still have so many weapons, even without O.J. Howard. Chris Godwin's on the mend. Mike Evans is on the mend. Scotty Miller's on the mend. Tyler Johnson's emerging. You don't want to put I think like we used to do when I worked at Long John Silver's back in the day, back in high school. We used to play
John Silver's.
We used to play a prank, right? We were in the kitchen crew, and the thing is when if you eat Long John Silver's, you got battered fish and battered chicken, right? And you got to sit there and when you put the fish or the chicken down, you got to do it like 20 or 30 at a time. They're frozen, and you got to dip them in the batter, then you got to put them in the hot oil. By the time you put the last piece of chicken or fish down, you got to go to the first one that you put in, and you got to turn it over, right, in the oil. So it's a process, and you are committed for about 4 minutes in front of that hot vat of oil. You're committed, like it's a process, and you can't move. And so if you had a coworker come up behind you and say, drop some ice into that hot vat, guess what's going to happen? Water and oil don't mix, and that cold ice cube is going to come screaming back out at you, covered in hot oil. And so we used to sit there and do that. This is back before people sued each other. Like you couldn't do
I was going to say,
but
they got cameras nowadays.
Yeah, back in the day, we would like prank each other and do that. And we'd like have like burns on our faces and our arms and stuff from that. But my point is, Antonio Bryant would be like that ice cube in a hot vat right now. You don't want that. This is a locker room that's
you mean Antonio Brown, right?
I'm sorry, Brown. I said Bryant. I meant Brown. Yes, I got my Buccaneer wide receivers mixed up. Antonio Brown. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Brown would not be a good fit in this locker room because this locker room is top notch right now. There's no assholes on this team. Brady and Mike Evans and Devin White and Levante David and Jason Pierre-Paul and Ryan Jensen are your leaders.
Too much good.
Don't mess with it.
It's too much good. And by the way, either way, if we got him, clearly Byron Leftwich couldn't figure out a way to get them both on the field at the same time, right?
Well, not just that. You know, it's only a matter of time before AB starts complaining about this, that, and the other thing, right? Mike Evans wouldn't put up with that.
Yeah, BA already threw water on that idea anyways.
Yeah.
He's like, they don't want that guy here.
Let Tyler Johnson get some playing time. I'd rather see that guy do it.
Next one.
Hey, guys, this is Zach from West Virginia at @hey_Tampa Bay on Twitter. Yes. I was going to call in, talk about how if Bowles brings that pressure to Carr like he did Rodgers, it's game over, but that's a given. I thought better use of the time would be to take this opportunity to let you fellas know how much you are appreciated for what you do. There's times as Bucs fans that we need talked off the ledge, and you're always there for us. I know, with as humble as you are, especially Sammer,
thank you,
that this is probably making you uncomfortable. But then I thought, no, fuck it. They need to know how great they are and how much we should be thankful that you're in our lives. You know, my mother always told me, when you find people better than yourself, you should always stand aside and let them be a light unto the world. Well, shine, gentlemen, shine. I'd like to close by simply saying, go Bucs, and fuck the Saints, and fuck Sean Payton and his extremely punchable face. Peace.
Call of the year.
Love this guy.
Call of the year.
That was fantastic.
So good. And yeah, and we are definitely the best at being humble. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Scott, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah. Do we like?
Yeah, I'm going to respond to it by saying this. It's like, you know, listen, there's a lot of places to go get your Buccaneer news, analysis, coverage, whatever, right? And I think the thing that I really appreciate you guys doing is bringing a different perspective with an edge about it. And it's a perfect mix of entertainment and education on your podcast. And I think that's what we try to do on pewterreport.com, but in a different way. And I think you guys really pull this off in a great forum and a great medium with the video, with the audio, and I can see why there's such a huge appeal for loose cannons. And just hats off to you, because there's enough room for there's enough pieces of pie to go around in terms of a Bucs coverage, right? But the thing is you got to be original. You got to do your own thing, and I think you guys have carved out a fantastic niche for yourself in doing what you're doing, and really appealing to the fans and being kind of like that mouthpiece to the fans, and having them have Fan Friday, right? I mean, that's a cool thing. So hats off to you guys.
Definitely appreciate that, Scott.
You, man.
You know,
yeah, man.
Clearly, call of the year, but
It was
clearly
a great call.
we could not do this without Stink. I don't. Sammer, me, replaceable, two brown guys, whatever. But Stank is the glue.
No,
he's
we're
literally
all the glue.
He's literally
we're
the
all
same,
the glue.
He's the color of glue. Look at his skin. He's literally the glue on this podcast.
All right,
I'll
next.
take that.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Corey from Nashville. On the Las Vegas, man, that was what you call a turning of the tide win. When you get to play at your peak, and if your peak is so much better than another perennial playoff team's peak, then you know you have something special. I'm very excited about this weekend because I don't want of course, 0 turnovers. That's a hard act to follow. However, I mean, if we just go out there and play like we're the best team, I just don't see how Las Vegas even remotely hangs with us. Now, Gruden, he's a schemer. He's going to scheme some stuff up, man. But, hey, I like my wings wet. I don't know. It depends. If they're Buffalo, I like them wet. But if it's lemon pepper, I like it dry.
There we go.
I was a ranch guy for a very long time, but I felt like that's just not popular enough. So I'm going with blue cheese.
Damn
Hey, I
right.
love you guys. I'll call back this weekend, man. Take it easy.
Thank you, Corey.
Thank you,
Love
Corey.
Corey. Always.
Corey knows how to
Always
eat
comes.
wings.
He
Next.
said he liked them dry. I heard dry.
No,
No, you're off.
That was
You're
bad.
just old.
All right, hold on. I've answered some questions here. I want to ask you guys a question, if I can.
Sorry. Go ahead.
All right. So let's say all of the wings of the world are gone for 1 weekend. They've all been consumed.
Oh, what kind
I
of
know.
movie
I
is
know.
that?
I know.
What kind of world is that?
I know.
I,
It's a
I am,
shitty
I am
world. That's what
legend.
it is.
I am legend type of shit right there, man. Don't
Exactly.
say stuff like that.
So if there were no wings to eat for this Bucs Raiders game, and you had to turn to one other food, I want to ask you, Stank and Christian and Sammer, what other food would you go to for game day?
It's a great question. This is why Scott is a pro.
Brisket,
Brisket. I love it.
smoked
You
brisket.
know who else loves that? Ryan Jensen loves that. That's great.
Yes, he does. We had him on, and he actually
Yes.
he exchanged recipes. It was the highlight of my
Fantastic. All right. So we got brisket. How about the others?
Poppy's going to go with, you start in the morning, Scott. You sweat your stuff down, you cook it up, and it's something that gets better as the day goes on. You can put a little corn chips in it, chili. I'm going.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
my number two. That's my number two. Oh man,
Okay.
that's great. Good
Yeah.
answer.
Really good.
Steak
I
was
say,
lost.
I know Stanks. Stanks is potato salad, right?
with raisins.
With raisins.
With raisins, yeah.
With raisins.
Hummus was my answer, but I'm gonna go with the steak. I mean, steak.
See, I like your answer, Stank, but steak for me is the go-to on like a primetime game. Like if I'm gonna watch Monday Night Football, a nice steak with a load of potatoes. I was planning on having a steak this Sunday. Thanks, COVID. But during the day, no. I want something that I can go back to the well and just eat until I'm like Sam was at my house this last weekend, where he could not literally breathe. I had to get help.
And Scott, you got to answer your own question.
Yes, you do.
That's a good point. And you know what? My wife makes a tremendous, and this is kind of like in that chili vein. She makes a tremendous white chicken chili. Okay.
Oh, that sounds
I never
good.
tried that.
It's tremendous. It's got the white northern beans with like big chunks of chicken in it, and I love full on ground beef chili. Don't get me wrong, but the white chicken chili with a couple of oyster crackers on top with some shredded cheese, a little dollop of sour cream, it is phenomenal.
Yeah, I know you're up north here somewhere, Pasco somewhere. I'm Land Lakes.
Wesley Chapel, yeah.
Next time that gets made, bro, just drop some off by the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? Or
I will. I will do that.
I've never tried it ever.
We'll
I've
just
never-
all
Okay.
we'll just all crash at his house one day.
Yeah.
We'll just
Or you can crash
show
on
Have
up.
you guys come over to watch an away Bucs game? Because we're not traveling this year. We traveled
Let's do it.
last year, but this year our company's just kind of said with COVID-19, we're
Take you up
watching.
on that, Scott, and
I know.
I'll bring our chicken
I know.
wings. The
We'll
smoked
all
one.
we'll all bring our wings.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's play this.
Person that calls in, which, before I go on to my take, ladies, come on now. We're all out there. EMT Ashley, Princess Nikki, Kay, Jen. Don't let me be the only one that calls in. Come on. You've got something to say. I know you do.
Ashley, call in.
Anyway,
Yeah, come on, Ashley, call in.
so happy walking around with a shit-eating grin on my face Monday in my Victory Monday shirt. And all I can say is go Bucs. Let's beat these Raiders, which I think we can. And let's just start fucking stacking them up. Go Bucs.
Stack them up.
Michelle just wanted to say go Bucks.
She did.
We got to get Scott one of those Victory Monday T-shirts, man.
I agree.
Yeah,
Or,
for sure.
or I'm the best at being humble. He can just walk right into the media room with it. Just literally say, "Yeah, I said it. I should be the Hall of Fame voter. I said it."
It technically has my name underneath it because it's quoted, so I don't know if he'd want to.
Scott, I gotta say, you are like the GM of like Bucks podcast. Like you found Trevor. I love Taylor. I love Grizz. I love Ledyard is like nobody can hang with that
You know what
guy
that is,
on tape, bro.
You know what the analogy is?
Wait, and Mark Cook, who's just
Mark Cook is just
Mark Cook's
Tony
like
Dungy.
national
yeah, I
treasure.
love him.
He's got the Tony Dungy tree.
But you know what Pewter Report is? Pewter
What?
Report is the Indianapolis Colts. They had in Trevor, they had Peyton Manning,
Right.
and then they just went right into how
not
did
even
you
fair.
pull that off?
It's not even fair.
It's
No,
not
Not even
fair.
fair.
It's more
I
like the
appreciate that,
Packers
guys.
going from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre.
How come every time we say Favre, we have to say Favre?
Because all I can hear is Sammer saying Favre. You're doing
Because I did that
John Madden.
stupid Madden impression for so many years. When I say Favre, it just comes out like Madden now. You just
All right,
can't
next
help
one,
it.
quick. 'Cause I think
Yeah,
Stan
because I gotta go.
Yeah.
Loose Cannons, what it do? Hey, it's Tim Brown from San Diego.
Tim Brown.
At
What's up,
9
TB?
squared.
Yeah.
On Twitter. Hey, first things first. Dripping wet and blue cheese. What am I?
Half right.
Boom.
Not savage. Hey, look, under my point though, like your esteemed guest, Mr. Reynolds, I also have a journalism degree from Western University, and it's in that journalistic experience that I need to talk about this weekend's game. Look, all the pundits, everyone said that the Green Bay win was a statement game, and that's a fact. But that said, every statement needs punctuation, right, Scott?
That's right.
So if we squeak out a win against the Raiders, I guess it's kind of like a period. If we lose, all of a sudden it's a question mark. But I don't think that either of those things are going to happen, though. the Bucs are going to put a motherfucking exclamation point on that performance by hanging a 40 banger on Vegas while the D keeps the clamps on. Bucs win this one 44-16. Now fire the fucking cannons and let's fucking go.
Wow.
Yes, I love it.
Wow. That was like Jay-Z, bro.
I
That
love
thing,
it.
he
That's
flowed in
phenomenal.
from you know, exclamation point to question
I
mark.
loved it. That was fantastic. That was a great call.
Loved it.
You know, I was so tempted. As a matter of fact, when Jon Ledyard asked me on our latest Peter Report podcast, we do our prediction podcast on Wednesday, and he asked me what the score was. I was so tempted to say 48-21, right? Because it's Bucs Raiders, you know. I was so tempted. I think it's going to be closer to 37-20, but man, it's like, you know, I mean, hey, how crazy would it be if it was 48-21, right? How crazy would it be for Jon Gruden to be involved in a game that is on the other side, right?
48-21.
Yeah, where he's dealing with that 21, and all of a sudden Bruce Arians and Tom Brady and stuff are hanging 48 on there. So you have to get a couple pick sixes in there
We
just to make it legit.
Got to
right?
get 3 pick sixes in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, got to.
Yeah.
We got 3 more, Stank. You got time for that or no?
No, I gotta go.
He can leave. It's cool.
Uh-oh.
No, he can go.
White's coming.
No, Stink can go.
All right,
Off-
all right, Stank. See you later. We're just,
Appreciate you, Stank.
what's going on? What's the Hi.
I gotta go. I'm sorry.
I miss Stank.
It's
I'm
all
gonna
good,
leave
man.
I'll leave my camera on. You can look at my beautiful background. Scott, I love you. I love you,
Appreciate
bro.
it, Stank.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having me on.
Mute your
I
mic.
appreciate it.
All right, I'll meet you.
Saber, the constant professional. Mute your mic.
It's got to
All
be
right.
done, man.
Here we go.
Got a couple more.
Loose cannons!
Yes.
Loose cannons, bro!
Big Lou.
Woo!
Lou.
The Raiders! We got the Raiders at the Roomba! Woo! I don't know, man. I just hope the fellas, man, play and they don't, you know, they don't read all their press clippings and all that, man. You know, we don't have a letdown, man. I love what I saw last week, man. I love what I saw, man. But the Raiders got a good team, man. You know, they got good wide receivers, man. Running back, man. Cars, you know, the quarterback, man. You know, Double M, bro, can come in. I'd like to see that, man. After we knock out Carr, but I think we're gonna beat this ass, man. I think we'll be 5-2. And fuck, man, I was so excited after the Green Bay Packer game, man. I was not expecting that, man. So I'm still in victory mode. It's victory week, but we got a game on Sunday. We're gonna fucking rock, yes sir. Woo! Anyway, my question.
We still got a question.
There's a question? There's a question.
You think this COVID thing, man, with Brown, man, is gonna affect the game, man? Are we gonna be rescheduled? What do you guys think?
Yes.
Anyway, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Red sauce, blue cheese, always. Fire the cannons! Let's go, Bucs!
Love you, Lou. We already addressed that, though. Next.
Lou's the best. I love Lou.
This is short.
My name is Jon Ledyard. Wet. Get blue cheese and ranch up out of here. My question for you, Scott, is what is your favorite slang expression? Thanks so much.
Oh, Ledyard made an appearance?
Wow.
Oh my God. We were just talking about this. Holy smokes.
Oh, man.
my
This
gosh.
should be good then.
Yeah. See, the thing is like, you think the Buccaneers games are entertaining. The most entertaining thing about the Buccaneers games is the Peter Report group chat that we have going on between myself and Mark and John and Grizz and Matt. Like the stuff we talk about is insane. It's like the behind the scenes stuff that'll never get revealed. So one of the things we talked about this week was, and we talked about a lot of different things. This wasn't during the game. This was during the week. But I just kind of like blurted out, and this is like, you know, old man Reynolds talking here. But it's like, I don't like the term finna. I just don't like it, you know? And so and so of course, Taylor and John start like ripping me and like dropping finnas everywhere with everything, right? and the thing is like I'm pretty much an English kind of guy, right? My mother was a teacher. Rest in peace, Mom. I love you. She hated the word ain't, right? That's how anal she was. Mom was like, if I said the word ain't, you mean isn't. I mean, she would correct me on the spot. She was a elementary school teacher and would have none of it. She was a reading teacher. So I'm not, like when we transcribe quotes and stuff, and I see the word transcribed, I'm gonna do this. No, I'm going to. Like, it's just it's proper to translate and kind of make it proper English for the audience to read, right? And so I just kind of succumbed to it, and now I just use the word finna just to bug the shit out of Ledyard, and it's like, hey, it's like, hey, can somebody proof the story? I'm like, I'm finna do it,
Do it.
and just to like give it right back to him,
That's
So,
awesome. You'd be proud, Scott. So would your mom. I don't know why. I'm not an English teacher. I don't speak perfect English, but I'm constantly correcting those around me.
Amen, Christian. There we go.
My twitches. It just, Sammer and me, I'm like, Sammer and I. Like,
exactly. I do that to my kids all the time. I was correcting them.
Dude, I have unfriended countless people on Facebook because they don't know how to use two or two.
There you go.
That's it. Like, I can't deal with it. If you're not going to use it correctly, and if you say, oh, they played good, they did good out there, they did well, and it's Christian and I. Absolutely. Like, and I don't care.
And actually,
anybody.
In full disclosure, and it might have been due to my old fashioned tonight, I think I used the word good instead of well.
You did. You saw my eye twitch. You'll watch it. You'll see me twitch. I caught it.
So I regret that. I caught the mistake, but after it happened, but I want to just come clean, Sammer, just so you know.
By the way,
I caught it.
By the way, Scott.
Yeah.
Or Sammer, in honor of Scott, I think we should add a question to our wings, blue cheese, or ranch, because I'm a huge fan of old fashions.
There we go.
We should ask that. Your preferred beverage.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. It's not a bad way to go, bro.
What are you going to wash those wings down with?
Something.
Right?
You got to wash them down with something, right?
You got to wash them down, yeah.
Old fashioned. That's clutch, bro. I like that.
So with wings, is it what you would drink with wings?
No, just your go-to drink.
Yeah.
Just your go-to.
I have two. Really.
Because with wings, I'm going to wash it down probably with a beer, but after
me too.
beer,
but
I want something I'm going to sip on.
I'm not a beer guy, so it would be either Captain and Coke, Crown and Coke, or just a mojito.
And none of those are the wrong answers, Sam. So
now we're already spurring the conversation, so why not add it to the thing? We should add it to the.
I like it. Yeah.
In honor of Scott.
Yeah.
Here we go. Last one.
Boom.
Hey, what's going on, loose cannons? My name is.
By the way, there's no way. Whatever the guy's name is, it's a minute 56, 90 seconds or less, bro. Okay. I'm the Nazi when it comes to that. 90 seconds.
Oh no, he only got his name in.
That's my son, repping Clearwater. What's up, buddy? I'm just trying to leave a voicemail real quick. Go ahead and put me down for the wet wings. Dry, I don't even understand why you would even go with the dry wing. And go ahead and throw me some ranch on them joints. Hold on, man. I'm trying to. You messing up my flow, bro. Let me record a voicemail.
That's why. That's why it takes so long. You got interrupted.
Anyway, I hope y'all can edit that out. If not,
nope.
My take is I'm excited about the offense, man. I mean, of course, I'm excited, super excited about the defense and what they can do going forward. Hopefully, they can stay aggressive and not play, that zone bullshit that they played against the Bears, where it seems like every corner was 8 to 10 yards off ball and hardly any blitzes. But that's in the past. We can move on from that.
I think they learned their lesson.
Stay aggressive, man. That'd be awesome. But my take is on the offense, man. I feel like with Chris Godwin in the lineup, Chris Godwin actually practicing on a consistent basis. Like BA said, man, he is very pivotal in what we do as an offense as a whole. So if we can continue to grow and practice, man, I feel like the offense is going to take off. And we haven't even seen it take off yet, man. And I'm excited to see that. And I know they moved our game from 8 to 4. So I think what's going to happen is you're going to see our offense, if not this game, the next game, where they're just going to come out and ball So that's my take, man. Like I said, my name is David from Clearwater. Sorry at the beginning. My son wanted to ask me a million questions. Of course, no one wants to ask you questions when you're not on the phone. But love your podcast and go Bucs.
Thank you.
It's a long call, but it's a good one. Yeah.
Good one.
It was a good one, Christian. Come on. I know you're a Nazi for all that.
Good. It was good. Listen, I'll allow it, David. But 90 seconds.
We'll allow it. Scott, I know we've been on here for much longer than we even anticipated.
I have one quick one, Sammer, that I couldn't get in earlier. It's literally quick. Scott,
last question. Go ahead.
We're done as soon as the faster you can answer it.
Okay.
Is it time? Do they want to mess with the flow, throw weird shit with the chemistry? Is it time to move SMB strictly to inside slot corner and start Jamel Dean on the outside? Or do you just leave the sauce alone?
I think they're inching there. And I think that if Jamel Dean continues to play at such an incredibly high level, and if they don't have more play, better play really from Sean Murphy Bunting, then I think that's going to happen sooner than later. But it's really up to Sean Murphy Bunting. It's his position now. He's got to keep it because Jamel Dean's knocking at the door. They do play so much nickel that, like even Kevin Ross said today, that it's a thing where Jamel Dean's considered a starter. But yes, in base defense, right now it's SMB on the outside and it's Carlton Davis the third on the other, and it probably should be based on how they're playing now. Jamel Dean replacing SMB. So I think it's coming, but that's in SMB's hands.
That was a good question, Christian.
Yeah,
I don't know how that didn't come up, but for those of you who are still watching, we appreciate the subscription. We appreciate you guys liking and commenting and following us and all that good stuff. And if you somehow don't know how to get more of Scott Reynolds' amazing knowledge, it's pewterreport.com. I can't imagine any Bucs fan that wouldn't know where to find your stuff. I didn't know if you had anything coming up you wanted to share before we kind of closed up here, in terms of some upcoming articles or things like that with you guys.
SR's Fab 5 will come out tomorrow. Really what I do is I take a look at an in-depth statistical look at the 2002, 2005, and 2007 seasons in honor of Jon Gruden. Those were the 3 NFC South divisional championships that he won. And take a look at those seasons and try to find the common denominators and then pair that up with the current 2020 Buccaneers and seeing if they're on pace to maybe win a divisional title and in what statistical categories they're keeping pace with those teams. And so it was really interesting. It was one of those things I didn't know the answer to till I did the research, and really mind-boggling numbers. So I highly recommend checking out the Fab 5 tomorrow. Address this a little bit on our last Pewter Nation podcast. I have received an amazing amount of outpouring of support from Buccaneer fans out there. My mother passed away suddenly on Tuesday. It's been a very difficult, emotional week for me. She would want nothing less because she was a huge inspiration to me. My mom, not my dad or my stepdad. My mom was the big football fan in the house, and she got me hooked on football at a young, early age. We'd fight over the Kansas City Star sports section. And she never missed a Buccaneer game. And the crazy thing is, wherever she went, when we moved from Washington, D.C. to Kansas City, the Chiefs got good. And I went to Kansas State, and the Wildcats under Bill Snyder got good. And then she moved to Florida in 1996. Well, who else arrived in 1996? Tony Dungy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying my mom was the reason why the Buccaneers were good, but the lady had some luck about her. And every time you went fishing with her, man, she would have the luck of anybody in terms of catching fish. She just had a kind of a lucky quality about her. I was a lucky guy to be her son. And just thank you so much. I know you guys before the show expressed your condolences, and I greatly appreciate that. But for every Buccaneer fan out there listening, thank you from the bottom of my heart for the support that you've given me to help me power through this week. It sucks that this happened during football season, but I got to deliver for you Buccaneer fans out there. My mom wouldn't have it any other way. Her last win, and we used to talk about the Buccaneer games after they happened. The last win she saw was 38-10 against the Packers, and she loved defense just as much as me. So for her to see a pick six and 5 sacks as she passed on, What a way to go. I will miss those post-game chats with my mom tremendously. But thank you so much.
Well,
it means an awful lot to me how you guys have supported me this week. Thank you.
Definitely. As Ledyard said on your podcast, hopefully the last one she saw was the one that turned it around for this franchise. And
that would be tremendous.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, you told us before we started recording here. What was it that Jason Light mentioned to you, that his dad and your mom have the best seats in the house now, right? So
yeah, his dad Ron passed away last year at a Nebraska game doing what he loved, and so yeah, I've received so many texts from the Buccaneer organization, and Jason Light sent that one to me. It really meant a lot. That Ron Light and Judy Dunleavy are now got the best seats in the house, watching every Buccaneer game from here on out. So it was very, very special, and I just want to thank all of you guys for the support this week.
Hey man, but we're a big family, right? All Bucs fans, humans in general, right? So we want to
guys.
thank
I've
you.
enjoyed this. This has been so much fun. I was looking forward to this. I really appreciate the invite. Looking forward to doing it again down the road, and just continued success to you guys at Loose Cannons. You guys have got a fantastic product here. Love being on this every minute of it. You guys are fantastic.
Thank you, and we actually are legitimately humbled to hear that from somebody who's built Pewter Report into what it is now, right? So thank you for coming on. Thank you for hanging out and the stories, all the good stuff. It was awesome. And to everyone out there, as always, go Bucs.
Bucs.